Welcome to the Emperor Dynamite podcast, home of unchained free speech. Unleash your voice.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau declaring a public emergency for the first time in the country's history.
Hello, I am Emperor Dynamite while he continues to work on his audio setup. Happy to have you along on this grand adventure as I continue to build my podcast. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2, Reject the Radical, Embrace the Practical. Two of Canada's biggest fears right now are the radical policies of the Liberal NDP coalition and the risk of a growing trade war. These two issues could lead to disastrous instability that could affect the world. Canada requires a government that will make hardworking Canadians a priority, not runaway spending, higher taxes, and ideological experimentation. The most practical and effective way to restore prosperity, affordability, and freedom to Canada is through a conservative government. The Liberal NDP coalition, also known as the Clown Show Coalition, has driven Canada deeper into extremist, left-wing agendas at the cost of economic sanity, free speech, and national security. Their runaway spending, shameless taxing, and outlandish green agenda policies have made everything cost-prohibitive to tens of millions of Canadians and plunged the country deep into record debt. Next election, the NDP needs to be punished for their part in the mess they enabled. The Liberals and NDP have no idea how to run a government. Their only skill is printing money. Trudeau's grip on power was weak after losing a majority in 2021. So instead of being held accountable, he struck a backroom agreement with the extreme left-wing NDP, effectively buying them off to shut up and vote with him. This immoral coalition has since steamrolled Canada's economy, amassing historic debt levels, inflating crippling costs, and saddling hard-working Canadians with extortionate taxes to pay for their boundless socialist illusions. While at the same time, Trudeau attended costly Liberal fundraisers with guests linked to foreign governments. Although legal, these events faced criticism for offering preferential access to the Prime Minister in exchange for donations, which was seen as unethical. This behavior has become typical of the Liberal Party of Canada and not simply a one-time event. In 2023, at an Ontario event, Trudeau offered his hand to his voter, and he replied, "I am not shaking your hand, bro. You're a piece of shit, man. You've seriously mishandled this entire nation." A prime example of the anger and frustration some Canadians feel toward Trudeau's policies on the cost of living, taxes, and government spending priorities. I have never liked Trudeau. He has this smug, condescending attitude when he talks. A leader is supposed to inspire, but how the fuck does someone like him inspire anyone? If the national debt was divided up per person, that would be around $30,000 per person. You can view a live running total at https://www.debtclock.ca. The Liberals need to be stopped. Marxist Jagmeet Singh, dressed to the nines, has been afforded a free hand to advance his ideological gibberish, ramming through disastrous policies that have choked businesses, driven capital out of Canada, and left ordinary Canadians poorer than at any time in history. This blatant political extortion has made Canada a laughingstock on the international scene, where feeble leadership, nonstop virtue signaling, and economic ineptitude have become substitutes for responsible government. Trudeau and Singh, meanwhile, reside in their taxpayer-supported fantasy world, shielded from the misery they've unleashed on millions. This crooked coalition is like a sinking ship, clinging for dear life only by throwing money around to bribe the voters while Canada sinks under debt. That is not leadership. It's just a miserable, selfish circus, and every Canadian hurting should be demanding that it come crashing down now. In short, the Liberal narrative is one of big government, heavy regulation, and ideological enforcement. But the reality is higher taxes, lost freedoms, and an increasingly divided country, as if the Liberal-led coalition's failures were bad enough already, but the fiasco did not end there. Their leadership battle was an utter travesty, a naked exercise in backstabbing, power struggles, and sheer incompetence. Rather than providing any coherent vision for the future, it exposed a party completely emptied by infighting and self-interest. Instead of learning lessons from their mistakes, they doubled down on the same dysfunction that destroyed them in the first place. The federal liberal leadership contest just received a tremendous disappointment with Mark Carney entering the fray. I mean, sure, his credentials sound excellent, previous governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England, but it's beginning to seem like his candidacy is not so much about really serving Canada as it is about perpetuating the same old, elitist corporate politics that have been doing us wrong for so long. His lack of political experience is evident, and his complete detachment from issues that are important to real Canadians is nothing less than frightening. Let's be real. Mark Carney has never had to negotiate the complexities of actual politics. He's never had to face an actual electorate. He's never had to contend with communities battling housing crises, healthcare disparities, or spiraling costs of living. He's spent his whole career in the comfortable, insulated bubble of international finance, consorting with the powerful and wealthy. He knows nothing of the everyday concerns average Canadians must deal with, and yet he thinks he's ready to lead this nation. His market-based, technocratic solution to every issue simply doesn't connect with anybody outside of his finance bubble. Canadians don't need a leader who has spent their whole life lounging in boardrooms. They need somebody who knows the real human impact of the policies that affect their lives. Carney's elitism is unavoidable. He has clearly done something for himself, but his policies, his speeches, and his whole worldview seem designed to promote the agendas of the wealthy, not the working poor. When I hear Carney discussing climate change, all I hear is the same old corporate jargon about solutions that don't do anything to help the people who are being hurt by environmental degradation. His obsession with market solutions and money is a joke. It's the same type of thinking that's enabling the richest Canadians to make money off climate inaction while the rest of us bear the brunt. He's not speaking for the people. He's all about those corporate interests that have perpetuated the systems that got us into this mess in the first place. So let's talk about how he really doesn't have any concrete policies whatsoever. It's just a whole lot of vague, feel-good nonsense. We must combat climate change. We must address economic inequality. Great. Who doesn't believe that's a good idea? But what's the plan, Carney? Where are the solutions? His speech is all read like he's reading from some boring textbook on market theory, and there's no real plan to move forward. Canadians are fed up with the same empty promises that fail to ever make a real difference. He just doesn't have a vision that resonates with ordinary working people. His economic ideas are so out of touch with what most Canadians are really facing, like simply trying to keep their heads above water. What's annoying is that Carney went ahead and made his offer. After all the letdowns with Justin Trudeau in power, along comes Carney, sweeping in at exactly the right time, like he thinks he has all the answers. But honestly, this is not some noble, selfless political move. It's just opportunistic. The Liberal Party is vulnerable right now, and Carney is getting in because he believes he can take advantage of the party's weakened state, bringing in the same old elitist, highfalutin solutions that only serve to help the wealthy. It's about his own ambitions, not what's best for the country. He's not so much interested in solving the issues that Canadians are dealing with, but he wants to benefit politically from the mess Trudeau has made. If anything, Carney's candidacy will only exacerbate the Liberal Party's identity crisis. Under Trudeau, the party is now synonymous with failure on climate action, Indigenous reconciliation, and economic inequality. The Liberals desperately require a leader who will restore trust and credibility, a leader who can relate to the people they're supposed to be representing. And yet, they wind up with Mark Carney, a man who's all about schmoozing with the international elite while ordinary Canadians are being left behind. He just doesn't get the problems people face. He doesn't speak like them. He simply doesn't get it. And that's the issue. The Liberal Party under the leadership of Carney would simply be a cozy home for the rich and powerful, totally isolated from working-class Canadians who are most in need of some change. In all sincerity, Mark Carney is the worst type of politician. He's the poster boy for everything that's wrong with politics today. A man who has spent his entire career serving the interests of the financial elite, who thinks that his technocratic, market-driven policies are going to somehow solve the deeply entrenched social and economic issues Canadians are confronting. Carney is not a leader of the people. He's a leader of the wealthy and the well-connected. He's totally out of touch, very uninspiring, and just can't provide the type of leadership this nation badly needs. His candidacy is an insult to any of those who have been left behind by the system. If Carney is the best the Liberal Party can put forward for the future, then Canadians may have to start looking for a new political home. The Conservatives are the practical choice, and Canadians' best option since they offer a no-nonsense, sober, and work-oriented approach to governance that avoids extremism, ideological arrogance, and the anarchy that has characterized other conservative movements. While some groups on the right have been hijacked by poisonous culture wars and performative outrage, the Conservatives are focused on what matters most: creating a stronger economy, keeping communities safe, protecting individual freedoms, and ensuring that government is working for all Canadians. In contrast to the MAGA brand of politics with anger, conspiracy, and unthinking loyalty to controversial figures, the Conservatives offer a practical solution and reject perilous populism in favor of common-sense leadership. No alliances, associations, or sympathies with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, or other American political figures with no stake in the future of Canada. The party is not here to imitate American politics or import its dysfunction. It's here to give a distinctly Canadian conservative vision based on valuing stability, fiscal responsibility, and good government. In a time when both the far left and far right are more interested in ideological purity than in pragmatic solutions, the Conservatives are a breed apart by eschewing political spectacle. They understand most Canadians don't want to hear about endless partisan battles. They want to hear about leaders who will address rising costs, provide improved health care, protect jobs, and put public safety first without empty rhetoric or distractions. In short, the Conservatives aren't here to be a Canadian MAGA, nor do they have an interest in going after social media storms or kowtowing to American political fashions. They're here to rule, seriously, responsibly, and with Canadians' best interests at heart. I cannot stress this enough. Canada stands at a crossroads, and only the Conservative Party has the vision, talent, and guts to take the country forward. Where others woo special interests and promote ideological experiments that drain our economy and divide our country, Conservatives remain focused on what matters: rebuilding economic growth, protecting individual liberty, and making government serve the people, not the other way around. Canadians need a government that prioritizes affordability, job growth, and national security over the waste and partisan games of the past. The decision is clear. If we want to have a strong, united, prosperous Canada, we need a conservative government with common sense over ideology and action over words. On the next show, we're going to explore tariffs from the perspective that matters: yours. How exactly do these trade policies impact the everyday person? Why are things costing more, and who's really profiting? We'll examine the current situation in North America and its future implications for us. You don't want to miss it. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.